Calm Down with Erin and Charissa is a production of iHeartRadio. I also wanted to be like, it's the hottest you've looked. Like, it's my favorite Cameron. But actually, that's not true because Sweetest Things, that side top was amazing. Hi, guys. Welcome to the Calm Down podcast.
The red pants. I wanted so bad to have those freaking
the pink and the red.
So
and
good.
He's funny.
Right? You guys, you'll never believe who is on the Calm Down podcast today. We will not calm down. Erin's putting on lipstick. She's getting ready. Katherine Power and Cameron Diaz, co-founders of Avaline, an incredible clean wine, all organic company that they started. Katherine is an entrepreneur that is a co-founder of Who, What, Where. She's also the
Katherine,
CEO.
if you end up listening to this and you want to run where, let me know.
Yeah, right?
Nope. Hello.
And Cameron, who, as we all know and have loved, and any woman that has a bunch of girlfriends and has seen The Sweetest Thing, you know we have questions. So we are so excited about this podcast. I need to know if she watches The Holiday. It's that time of year. It's on every channel. And I need to know, is Jude Law a good kisser? What is happening?
Oh, yeah. He was so hot in that movie.
So hot.
I'm
already drinking their wine.
Yeah, no, I've been drinking it for the last hour. I want to do a quick fangirl of Cameron. Mm-hmm. She obviously resonates with you and I because we are the sporty Spice Girls of the world. Like, she always, the dancing in the undies, the Brett Favre moment in Something About Mary. She just, she's surfing, she's hot, she can play volleyball, she was a model. I always loved her because I felt like, you see Hollywood, you see girls out there. She was the one I kind of was like, I want to be her. Like, funny. I felt like back in the day, she was the girl all the boys wanted to date.
She was Something About Mary. She is Something About Mary. It's the hot, sporty girl, but it's like cutie. Also a girl's girl, not bitchy, and you just want to be friends with her. I'm very jealous of the fact that she has obviously taken a step out of Hollywood and the limelight to pursue other things like Avaline and focus on her family. But I always wanted to interview her. It was at my time at Extra. I was hopeful that there was, a movie that she was going to do so I could sit down with her, but I never got the chance. But today's the day, guys. You're going to have to get me to calm down because Cameron is my, she's right up there with my Jennifer Lawrence girl crush obsession.
Oh, you love Jennifer Lawrence. I will tell you, and full disclosure, guys, we already did the interview, but
Erin!
I will. Well, sorry, we did, but I will.
But now I look like a real asshole. I've just been acting like it's all coming up. Fine, we asked her about The Holiday.
We did, and stay tuned for that. But one thing I will never tell her because she's been very quiet about it, but it was kind of, I remember, like everything else, I'm in a hotel room, and I read that she had finally announced that she and Benji had a baby, however they may have had it. But I just remember that was the day I called my husband and I said, okay, we need to get serious about this. This is a woman that has been, I don't think she was very open, but I think everybody kind of knew, I don't know if it was struggles or whatever, but she wrote something when they announced it, not only please respect our privacy, but something about the joy it brought. And I remember calling Jarrett and saying, I love Cameron Diaz. We need to get serious about this and the steps that we're taking. So I would never share that with her, but I feel like that was just something that really, really, hit me. And I was like, all right, we got to move here, pal.
She probably would have, I know, and you're being respectful of all of that, but if I was her, I'd want to hear that my decisions had impacted someone like you, or at least made left an impression to help motivate me to get
crack-a-lackin'.
Something very,
because I think the part that really struck me is she worked forever, right? And that kind of reminds me of you and I. She was just I feel like there was a Cameron Diaz kind of situation coming out all the time, and she was everywhere. And she's been very vocal lately about taking a step back, taking care of herself, taking care of her family, doing other, going down other roads and seeing what she can create, like this wine and her clean living and all that. So, yeah, I dig her. I love her.
Okay, so since Erin, just spoiler alert, we already did the interview. I also know that Kurt, our amazing producer, is going to have to edit out me just talking and talking and talking and just shut the fuck up, Charissa.
No, you were good. You were good.
I have a tendency when I get nervous and I really like someone, I want to be like, we're friends, right? We're friends. It's like, no, just let her talk. I just
want her to like reach out to the producer and be like, God, they seem great. I'd love them to come over.
I also wanted to ask about Nicole. Oh, go.
You did a really good job. My other thing is, if you guys want, you have to check out the YouTube of this, because my smile, it's like when I interview like a Jeter, a Brady, it just went like ear to ear. Like she got the big quarterback, third baseman, shortstop smile, you know?
Well, I also want Catherine's brain, her entrepreneurial brain.
I know, I do too.
I am in awe of very successful women who are also down to earth, and they are all of those things. They lived up to the expectation, and I was so happy to know that she knows how we feel about The Sweetest Thing, because that movie has provided so much joy in my life. Is Janie there? So,
hello, is Jane there?
Coming up after the break, we interview Katherine Power and Cameron Diaz. Avaline is their clean wine. We already did the interview. Enjoy. Thank you so much for being here. Our podcast is called Calm Down because Erin and I have been friends for 100 different years. And sometimes we have to remind ourselves to just bring it down a notch because we get very loud and animated about all things. We were so excited to have you guys on here to talk about Avaline and your friendship and just women empowering women. So thank you so much for stopping by the Calm Down podcast.
Love it. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
So we're talking about girlfriends and how did you guys meet?
Through one of her best friends and my sister-in-law, Nicole.
Oh, good.
And was it love at first sight or what? You probably knew a lot about each other, but you just hit it off right away?
Well, we when I started dating my now husband, we started going to, all the parties and gatherings and holidays. And Catherine and Nicole have been friends for 20 years?
Yeah.
And so she was always there, and we just kind of found ourselves sort of gravitating towards one another, kind of sitting off to the side and having some wine and talking about our houses and how we wish that we were just sitting in our home.
Yeah, we're both homebodies. We're both homebodies. We love, relaxing at home and, being home and hosting people at our house. Cameron is an amazing chef.
Her hubby's an amazing chef.
I don't cook anything, but we both love wine, and we got together a lot around wine, and with our community and friends, it usually was around wine, and we try to live a very wellness conscious lifestyle, and saw that everything in our life had gotten a bit healthier, a bit cleaner, whether it was trading groceries for organic or skincare products for clean or household products for non-toxic. And we were sitting there drinking wine, and we thought, God, we drink so much wine. And do you think is it just grapes?
Naively thinking it was just like fermented grapes.
And then we're like, are they organic? And then we turned the bottle around, and we were reminded that wine is one of the only consumables where you have no ingredient list, you have no nutrition facts. So, we honestly just started asking questions about the winemaking process, and how the grapes were grown and all of these things. And, we were pretty shocked by what we learned, all of the, additives that could be added, legally during the winemaking process without disclosure. The fact that, most wines are not organic, yet we're making this big deal about eating organic food. So, we tried to.
But our juice isn't necessarily organic.
Right.
You guys probably want to give your kid like organic juice, right? So it's not that different, and we started trying to find, what we consider to be cleaner wine, which first and foremost meant that it was made with organic grapes and there was, really low to no additives, and it was really hard to find. And we live in the mecca of wellness. So if it was hard for us to find, must be hard for everyone else.
Yeah.
I wanted to know how many bottles deep were you when you had this epiphany? Oh my God, what are we drinking? Because when you have the best ideas when you're like, how much have we had?
Yeah. It was funny because it was around like one glass and we were trying to figure out if we were going to have a second, because we were like, I never feel good after the second glass. Is it worth it? Like I think it was like on a Sunday.
Yeah.
And we both had to, the Monday morning of it all. And we were just like, should we even do this? And we're like, God, it would be so great if we could drink more wine without feeling terrible. And how can we do that? And what can we maybe make our own wine and add something to it and, make it better for us, better for you, and quotation marks. And we realized once we sort of, as Katherine said, we kind of dove into the winemaking process to see, well, maybe what can we do? And I mean, it's kind of silly to add anything to we talked about maybe doing probiotics or something like that, but duh. Well, it's fermentation, it already is microbes. You know what I mean? It is already happening. And that's what we did. We were like, wait, oh, right, that doesn't make a lot of sense, But then we're like, when we found out that it was what we didn't add to it that made it better for us. So it was quite the opposite. And so, that was where, one glass of wine served us.
When you think about all these amazing ideas and you guys are both entrepreneurs, but then you think to yourself, why didn't I think of that? Or why has it taken me this many years to ask the question, what's in my wine? If for the, a decade plus, we've all been so much more cognizant, as you mentioned, Katherine, of beauty products and laundry detergent and everything like that. And so when, we were excited to have you on here, and Erin and I were just talking why have we been so oblivious to this up until this point? So it's awesome that you guys have brought Avaline to the table. And where did the inception of the name come from?
It's funny because in a lot of wine is a very specific category to a mindset. We've all been consuming wine based off a very sort of narrow viewpoint of what makes wine good, or why we want to drink wine. And, it's been forever, and it's been created and sort of cultivated by a certain, in a culture that's dominated by white males, and they say it's, good with a steak, or, the terroir, or the vintage, which is all important stuff. And it's important to us too, in a lot of aspects. But it's very important to us as wine, the wine, where we get our wine from, what our wine tastes like, because all of that is absolutely, is why our wine tastes good, is because of the terroir, because of the vintage, all of those things that do make great wine. But there wasn't any language or connection to other aspects of consumption that would qualify it for somebody to want to consume it, right? So in our world of clean drinking or eating, there was no conversation about that, because it wasn't important to those who had created the sort of culture around wine for so many decades. And so we kind of took it outside of that. We took it to our conversation, where we took it to our qualifications for consumption. What we knew as consumers was important to us, and we knew that it was important to a lot of other people. One, because everybody around us, and just marketplace, and what Katherine has done for the last 2 decades of her life of creating, as an entrepreneur, and her clean makeup, her merit and verse, being, clean skin and makeup lines. This is the world that she exists in every day, as a entrepreneur, and where I exist in as a consumer. And she also obviously is a consumer in there as well. But we realized that conversation just wasn't being had. It wasn't being had with us. No conversation. We didn't fit in, and we knew that, if we wanted to go and find these wines now, now that we know they exist, and we know that wine is being made this way, and it's not, it's not just an idea we came up with, but something that's centuries old. There's a very traditional way of making wine that doesn't use these additives. The hardest part for us was, as Katherine said, is to identify it. There's no transparency, as well within the industry. There was no way to identify. We couldn't see it on the shelf, and we couldn't go to the website and find out if it was grown with made with organically grown grapes. Or what were you going to say, Charissa?
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just thinking, like, why are they not regulated? Why is it not regulated? Like,
they didn't have to be.
Not FDA. It's TTB, not FDA. So there's it's not food, and it's not the Food and Drug Administration. It's, so they don't have to qualify it under that.
Okay.
Regulation.
So interesting. We resonate with you guys and relate so much. We work in sports, male dominated. And then, when we were reading your story and you guys walk in and you have this idea and you're kind of questioning, I can only imagine the looks, the comments. I mean, give us some of the craziest, like, I'm just thinking of these guys that have been in the industry forever. And they're like, lady, you're not going to come in here and change this. Charissa, we've never heard that before.
No, or men are like, do you guys even like sports?
Do you really like sports?
Bored.
Yeah.
I'm so bored with that question.
Oh my
gosh. I imagine that there was a lot of resistance when you're walking in.
I'm going to dedicate my life to this. You guys are like, we live, eat, and breathe this. And you're going to ask us if we like it? Of course.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Didn't get married till I was 40. Still don't have a baby. No, I just, I'm bored on the weekends, But so what were people saying to you guys? Any crazy stories? Because I can only imagine.
I think it's just so interesting, when we started the process of, exploring clean wine, creating Avaline, which was, at this point, 3.5 years ago, almost 4 years ago, we would go into our normal restaurants, grocery stores, hotels we'd stay at, and we would ask, do you have any organic wine, or do you have any, clean wine, or, natural wine, whatever it was. And people would roll their eyes at us. They would say, they would either say it's all organic, or we don't know which ones are organic. They don't put it on the bottle, because historically, if you are a wine brand and you put organic on your label, you would end up in a weird section of the grocery store. So even the wine that is organic it's not disclosed. So, I think at that point we started to see our own behavior shift. I started to see a lot of young women asking the same questions, around adult beverage. And we just knew that it was going to start to become a thing. It was the next category people were going to focus on. And so, now going through this process 3.5 years later, Avaline's in, over 5,000 stores across the US. It's
good job.
Just exceeded all expectations. And now we go back to the same stores and the same restaurants, and there are sections dedicated to,
the menu,
natural or organic wine. And so I think that's super validating. And at the end of the day, like we knew we were going to disrupt this very old industry, and that we were okay with that. We knew we would get, the real wine critics, complaining and saying, wine's not dirty and all the things they've said. It's the same thing I went through when clean beauty started, truly.
Yeah.
And, but when there is such a consumer pull for something, they cannot ignore it. The retailers cannot ignore it. The distributors cannot ignore it. And that is truly what has happened with, Avaline, is that, it struck such a chord with consumers that the industry is now having to follow suit. And I think, we hope that our mission is really to champion this kind of wine, right? To make this kind of wine more prevalent in the market. So it's really an invitation to the rest of the industry to start disclosing, what's in their bottle, to grow with organic grapes, just to, really add as little as possible, right, to make this delicious wine.
What I loved, and Cameron, you had referenced it. You said like, oh, this wine pairs well with a steak, or, you hear a lot of pairings with food and wine. But and again, the consumer in me gravitates towards the beautiful bottles, the colors,
the label's
content,
so pretty.
But also, I love it. You guys wrote pairs well on the rosé, pairs well with the warmth of the sun and the company of your best friend.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, wine is such it brings people together, but also, you know, as evidenced by the origination of your guys' company, ideas come from spending time with your girlfriends. And, you know, Erin and I decided to start this podcast because we've been friends for so long. And we're like, these are the conversations that we just have with each other. Let's just, you know, start a podcast. But it's this idea of you want to spend as much time with your friends as you can. And if there's a business that comes from that, that's even more incredible. But there's also the other side of starting a business with your friend. What challenges have you guys found, and how are you able to navigate that with one another? Because you were so close, but then there's the business element of it as well.
This is the stuff they don't teach you in college, guys. They don't.
Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, so we, you know, Cameron and I have different, you know, experience, different strengths and weaknesses. And I always think when you are combined with someone who has like complementary skill set, it's always a plus, right? But, you know, we are both focused on the same mission. And to us, that's all that matters. So, you know, as long as we stay focused on that, everything else just sort of falls, you know, into place. And I just think we know each other well enough to know when she feels super strongly about something, you know, we do it. Or if I do, you know, we do it. But for the most part, we really have complementary skill sets that, you know, I have another, you know, business partner. I've had some great, you know, really successful partnerships. And one of my partners always says, you know, if our skills were a Venn diagram, there would be very little overlap. And I think that's truly, you know, a key to success. But really, you know, we're focused on the same thing, and it's been great. We get this question a lot, and frankly, like, you know, we're two pretty emotionally, you know, sound people who have had a great experience working together, and who, you know, it's not fun to drink alone. I mean, why would you want to create a wine brand, you know, by yourself? So,
in fact, I have a rule: don't drink alone. It always ends badly. And then so I love that.
No, we've had a lot of fun with it. You know, it's like we find ourselves in the south of France at a vineyard, you know, eating a ham sandwich and drinking a glass of rosé, looking at vineyards, going like, yeah, this was the right move. I
was going to say, Erin and I end up in Marina Del Rey, and we're like, well, this is not the same.
I'm at Lambeau Field, and it's 20 degrees at best. I mean, what am I doing? Career choices. Yeah. This is all wrong.
Yeah.
So
but we have an amazing team that, you know, that truly runs the business on a day-to-day basis, and makes it easier for us to, you know, stay focused on the mission and the brand and, you know, the product development. And so we're pretty lucky.
This may be for the dumb people out there. Raise your hand. I will. But so when you guys are talking about it, I remember talking to my sister when I got the box, when you guys sent it. It was so fabulous. And I was like, oh my God, they've got this wine. And my sister said, well, that's the wine that you don't feel bad, right? And I said, well, there's more to it. You know, it's all about organic. And I didn't even know the whole story about what you guys said. Why didn't we think about what we were putting in our body? If they are using what you guys are using, if it's organic, Chris, you said something about like they're not even washing the grapes with the pesticides. That
when I saw you guys talk about
garbage.
That, I was so grossed out.
Yeah, but this helps you with the whole hangover process. I mean, and not feeling like absolute garbage.
Well, we can't make any claims. Obviously, it's just that's not. But personally, I feel better when I drink a wine made from organically grown grapes and have very little additives. I personally have found, and that's why I was so excited to make our own wine, is because, you know, it is about, you know, about, for me, pesticides, right? So anything grown with pesticides, I don't want anything to do with. And, you know, with grapes, as you were saying, it is not a common practice to wash the grapes prior to winemaking. And so that pesticide just ends up inside of the winemaking process, as well as concentrates. So why we say no concentrates is because also concentrates are usually used for like a sweetener. Mm-hmm. And if you're using
color,
and if you use a concentrate that's not organic, then you're getting concentrated pesticides,
concentrated sugar,
sugar. And so and sugar for me, like is always, if I have too sweet of a wine, I always end up with feeling terrible the next day.
Yeah.
So, we just didn't want that sugar content. We didn't want, we wanted organic grapes. And the additives is just, it goes in line with wanting something clean. Like I don't eat food that I can't pronounce, occasionally I'll eat, something. It's not like it never happens, but like on my daily consumption, I want to be able to know that what I'm, putting into my body is as close to whole as possible.
Yeah.
What's the biggest thing you guys have learned through this process? Because again, you start off with this, it's one thing to have an idea, and Katherine, as Cameron has outlined, you have an incredible background in entrepreneurship and the success of the brands that you have founded or the CEO of. So you have this idea, and a lot of people have ideas, but then what's that next step? How do you get things going? And I know, Cameron, you had said, let's take a flight to France, but that's like, where does that, from 4 years ago to now, what is that process? If you can summarize it, like, how do you even get started?
Sure. We were truly starting at ground zero. I know how to put a business together, but this is, entering the alcohol business is like learning a foreign language. It is so different than any other, like the fundamental structure and laws are so different than any other kind of category. And, what we did truly is just meet with anyone we could find who was remotely connected to that industry. And we just started taking, calls and meetings and just asking a ton of questions and, trying to apply that to what we already knew about, starting a business or setting up a brand.
Or what we wanted, what path we wanted to take, because there was a lot of things that we were told that we couldn't do, or they told us how things were done. Mm-hmm. And Katherine and I knew that we didn't want to do it that way. And so we had to figure out from like what was already structured and what everyone who we were talking to was telling us that we had to do first. We were kind of like going, so what's the next step? What's the next step? And then when we got like the 10th step down, we were like, oh, that's where we're starting.
Yeah.
And so, because we knew where we wanted to take it, and we knew how quickly we wanted to get there. And so the timeline that we were sort of being given about how we could make something, a brand in this category successful, didn't really, wasn't what we were looking for. We really wanted to know how to get it, into stores right away, how to build it up to 100,000 cases, how quickly we could do that. And so, we just every time we would hear something that pointed in that direction for us within the sort of confines that we were being given, in sort of the status quo, we would go, okay, let's jump to that. Let's find the next person who could kind of like help us there. And then we would get to them and sort of dig in on there. And then we would just keep sort of jumping to where it was that we felt we could then align ourselves for this, how we saw the business sort of launching and, and the progress of it over the last, for us, almost 2 years, well, a year and a half now.
Yeah, that we've been in market. Avaline is not, we don't consider it to be like a celebrity wine brand. This was, a soil to glass project. Yeah. So we basically tracked down winemakers that we love, that we know create the taste profile that we really respond to, and just beg them to custom blend a wine for us to fit the needs of Avaline. And so, we virtually and then actually knocked on doors at these beautiful, vineyards in Europe. Amazing. And I think had to convince them to take a chance on us, right? Like, we don't come from a multi-generational winemaking family. We are, commercially, successful people in the United States. Like, it's just, it doesn't always translate to that industry. So I think we had to earn the trust of those winemakers. And then the people that got it, have been, we're so grateful that we could bring that much business to them. They've already, been making these beautiful wines for generations and, having their own label, their family businesses. And now we've been able to shine such a light on the way that they've been producing, their wine for hundreds of years and bring them so much, business and really change, their lives in a lot of ways. So that's been really, really rewarding. And, we are growing our supply chain across Europe and in the US and, want to continue to champion winemakers like that.
Yeah, we really wanted to, we have our core wines, and then we have our direct to consumer wines that we're doing more sort of, limited runs on different varietals, because our core wines are blends that are, sort of everyday wines, but we also, so we don't put the varietal on the bottle or the vintage, but our core, our limited run wines will be more
specialty wines,
specialty and varietal, special, specific varietals. Like we have a delicious Pinot Noir.
Oh, it's so good.
I don't even drink Pinot Noir, and it's just the most delicious. I'm literally like, how many cases do we have left? Okay, let's send me 5 of those.
I gotta order more.
What does that pair well? What's that label gonna say?
It actually just does. It's a very good everyday wine as well. The only
Fabulous.
thing is on our core wines we use a screw cap, and our so far on our varietals online we have a cork. So it's one of those things, which is fine.
Yeah.
I like to drink a bottle over a few, over the week kind of thing. I'm not opening it and downing it for the evening.
But the Pinot Noir, we say, pairs well with fading sunlight and your favorite song.
Oh, that's so sweet. Well, Erin was, we were talking about, and she was like, twist off, because there are many times that cork gets I'm breaking the cork and it's a whole thing. So a lot of benefits to that. But as I was listening to you guys speak, Erin started this very successful clothing company. I'm trying to start this interior design company, and it's other facets of what we do for our day job, but it's, grown from love and from passion and this need or void in the market. And all that said, listening to you guys, and obviously you have, incredible resources and success in your respective fields. So certain doors open or can open quicker for you, but you still need the help of so many people and these incredible families that you're mentioning, or these vineyards, and how you've changed their life. And business is transactional. And so I imagine it brings you so much joy to think about the impact that your guys' idea has now had on, the domino effect, because of a singular idea can have, a greater effect overall, not only on health, but also monetarily.
Yeah. And it's also, for us, being able to just bring the information to the consumer like ourselves, to let them know, you actually do have a choice in this category. You may not know this, but check it out. This is what we learned. And, being able to, give that information, that opens it up to a whole, again, it's an invitation, right? So now winemakers who have been making wine like this for generations may have not known that that's something so valuable to their product. If they wanted to, market that, then it's there for them now. They have an example of how it works. There's going to be a lot of wine brands that don't want to have that transparency because, it proves our point, that there are, different additives that could be utilized in the winemaking process that certain, certain group of consumers in that category do not want to drink. So that would, exclude them. So there is a choice, and so that also feels really good.
Is there anything, what's next? I mean, you mentioned the Pinot Noir. I was thinking, since you've changed my life with the wine and made it organic, anything you could do with a charcuterie board, because that's my jam with the wine. Help the cheese not get on my thighs and be cheese, like anything you got for me there.
Well, I think that's all in moderation, right?
Yeah, true. There's that.
Just like the wine.
It's really difficult to do with charcuterie. Sure, which is one of our favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're continuing to release new blends, all through this transparent lens, and we're really excited about what we have coming out. We did just launch a few limited edition items on drinkavaline.com that are going to be available for the holiday season. So definitely check that out. And we're pretty much in every retailer where wine is sold. So try to pick some up wherever you live.
Yeah, that's awesome. Good for you guys.
I know you guys have a lot of things to do, but I would be remiss if I didn't ask, Katherine, you and Cameron have been friends for years now, but growing up, Cameron was the person that you felt like you always wanted to be the girlfriend with. You were the everyday girlfriend.
I've always wanted to drink wine with you, Cameron.
She lives up to the hype.
I mean, like watching
always wanted to drink with you.
Walking to this day, walking up a hill, I'm walking my ass up this hill, and I do it in your cadence. And I was on the plane the other day, and I was watching the holiday, and you just have been the backdrop to so many incredible memories in our lives. And I imagine
movie
Katherine,
montage.
Yeah, as you sit there next to your girlfriend.
Sweetest things,
oh yeah.
Wait, Cameron, do you have a character that you closely related to? Of any of the characters that you played, or any of the movies? Is there anyone that was most like you?
No, I think that it's like it's all the characters are, of course, obviously there's a part of me in it it's through my filter, right? Like it's that, so there's something there. But no, I think for the longest time I felt like, I don't know if you guys ever saw Being John Malkovich.
Of course, yes. All of it, Cameron.
Yeah. Lottie, I always felt most like Lottie. Like I felt the most comfortable playing Lottie than any other character.
Wow. That's interesting.
I fell in love with you very early, but where you actually stole my heart, and it was like, this girl understands me, was just your relationship with Brett Favre. And that was my favorite quarterback. And then there was a part of me that had a hard time separating, wait, are they together? Because it's like, no,
very
relax. It's a movie. This is fictional. But yes, I was very Favre, oh God, all of it. Yep. That part really.
That was such a funny twist, it was
great.
Leave It to the Fairley Brothers,
Yes.
It's so much fun. And that was
okay.
Cool,
this is the last question I'll ask about. This last question I'll ask: if you're flipping through the channels and a movie of yours comes on, do you stop and watch it? Because right now the holiday is everywhere, as it is this time of year. Will you watch it?
I will not watch it.
Okay, really?
I don't watch my own. I watch my movies for the premiere, and then I never see them again.
What? This time of year, I'm so tired. I'm so sick of being away from my family. But I will tell you, we did a Kansas City game a couple of weeks, and it wasn't even Christmas, and the holiday was on, and I was like, I feel at home. I was like, thank you, Jesus. She's on my TV. So God.
Oh, there was one time where I was flipping through. I don't really watch TV. You know what I mean? I'm one of those people too that I kind of just goes to the content that I want. But I think that I turned on something, and there was a Charlie's Angels 2 dance scene, and I stopped it. I was like, oh my God, Nancy Javonin, who is our producer on the movie. She's in there for 2 seconds, and like I stopped on it because I was like, oh my God, Nancy. And then I was like, oh wait, this is Charlie's Angels too. I was like, oh yeah. Like, and then I saw myself and I was like, oh yeah, I'm in it too. Okay.
What we are taking seriously is, you guys, this is an incredible gift you have given to not only us, but everyone who needs to be more aware that there is an option for clean wine. Thank you for bringing it to our attention and giving us an opportunity not to have a hangover in the morning, because
cheers to that.
I mean,
I'm glad that you guys can say that.
Yeah.
It's our experience.
We will. Yes.
Yes.
We'll say it loud and proud. Thank you so much, you guys. You were amazing.
Thank you.
Great to meet you.
Great to meet you as well. Calm Down with Erin and Charissa is a production of iHeartRadio.
For more podcasts from iHeartRadio, visit the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.